So, Congressman, let me ask you kind of where things stand, because the Senate changed things in the bill, and I know some of the Freedom Caucus are opposed to some of the things that have been changed. What's your take on kind of where things stand, and what are you hearing about where it might go?
Well, the Senate made some changes, but more importantly, the Senate parliamentarian threw some things out. And that's had an impact on some of our moderate members and on some of our Freedom Caucus members. But my judgment is the bill is a compromise. The Senate bill is a worthy compromise, and that we should move it forward because it kicks off the substantive start for Donald Trump's real agenda: securing the border, creating a more robust national defense to counter China, blocking a 27% tax increase for folks in my state of Arkansas, creating incentives to invest more in small businesses, bring business back to the United States, and encourage work in our society. These are all goals that I think are overwhelmingly supported by the American people.
And I just talked to somebody in the Freedom Caucus who said they're not there yet in terms of whether they should support it or not. Do you foresee an amended version coming out of the House and then having to be kicked back to the Senate?
You know, I would hope not. We could do a conference committee on this bill and work through those differences, but perhaps people can narrow their concerns and find other ways to meet their needs through an agreement with the president on a particular matter outside of the legislation, and that might be enough to satisfy some of our members. I think we should get this done before the 4th of July break and give President Trump the satisfaction of moving his agenda forward in a big way.
And you probably saw some budget hawk groups like Committee for Responsible Federal Budget are saying the Senate version spends more than the House version, could add to the deficit more. Is that a concern of yours, that the Senate version actually is more expensive?
It does. That's concerning to me. But some of that, again, as I say, was decisions taken by the Senate parliamentarian on the judgments that she made about what should and should not be included in a budget reconciliation bill. For example, in my own committee, the House Financial Services Committee, we had saved over $5 billion in our budget reconciliation bill, but the bill that we're voting on today is about $1.6 billion in savings from the budget reconciliation process due to decisions made in the Senate. So bills are not perfect. Legislation is not a perfect science, but if we want to get our agenda moving forward in the right way, I think this bill is a good start.